You're not here by accident. There's something in you that knows, deep down, that the world in front of your eyes is only one version of what's possible. And the truth is, you're right. You're not just a passive observer of your life. You're not merely reacting to random events. You're an architect, a transmitter, coder. The life you're experiencing right now is the result of a hidden interface between your consciousness and the quantum fabric of reality itself. This isn't science fiction. It's not wishful thinking. This is real, grounded in both modern quantum theory and ancient metaphysical wisdom. The reality you think is fixed, it's not. It's elastic. It bends to the frequency you emit. And today, you're going to learn how to consciously activate your personal quantum code, so you can shift into new realities, instantly. Let's be absolutely clear. This isn't about waiting for the universe to hand you a miracle. This is about realizing that you are the miracle. A being with access to infinite timelines, infinite versions of self, infinite outcomes, just waiting to be selected and experienced. Now here's what you can expect in this experience. We'll start by uncovering how your current reality was constructed, and more importantly, how malleable it actually is. You'll learn how your thoughts act as waveforms of potential, and how your focus collapses those waveforms into experience. We'll explore how emotion operates as code, how it speaks directly to the operating system of the universe and rewrites the experience around you. But it doesn't stop there. You're going to discover how visualization isn't just imagination. It's a quantum interface, a living blueprint that initiates rapid shifts. You'll find out how parallel realities are not a theory, but a practical truth. And you'll be shown how to shift into alternate versions of yourself by changing your frequency, your choices, and your state of being. We'll explore the phenomenon of instant transformation, those pivotal moments when everything changes because you chose a higher timeline. And then, by the end, you'll have your own activation method. A personalized sequence, a quantum launch code that includes intention, visualization, emotional resonance, and energetic embodiment. This is how you trigger new realities, not through force, through frequency. So whether you're here to shift your circumstances, reconnect with a forgotten part of yourself, or awaken a deeper layer of your potential, this message has found you for a reason. Let's uncover what reality has been hiding and activate the version of you that's ready to lead the way. Let's begin. Have you ever had a moment where things just felt off? A flash of familiarity in a place you've never been? Or maybe you've looked back at a decision and thought, it's like I was on a totally different path back then. That's not just a psychological glitch. That's a sign. It's evidence that what you call reality is not a solid, immovable structure. It's dynamic. It's responsive. And most importantly, it's programmable. Here's the truth that's been hidden in plain sight. Reality isn't a single linear track. It's more like a vast multidimensional web of potential outcomes, all existing simultaneously. What determines the version you experience? Your consciousness, your focus, your internal frequency. Let's break this down. In quantum mechanics, there's a principle called the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that every possible outcome of every choice you could make already exists in its own version of reality. So when you decide to go left instead of right, speak up instead of stay silent, shift your mindset instead of staying in old patterns, you're not just changing your mood, you're shifting into a new timeline. Every choice becomes a fork in the quantum path. And your awareness, where you direct your attention, is the mechanism that selects which version of reality unfolds. But this doesn't just happen once in a while. It happens constantly. You're selecting and experiencing timelines every moment of every day, whether you realize it or not. The challenge? Most people are choosing unconsciously. They're trapped in cycles of reaction, habits of thought, and energetic loops that keep selecting the same outcomes over and over again. That's why life can feel repetitive, predictable, even frustrating. But once you understand that your focus is the key, you take the wheel. Focus is not passive observation. It's an act of creation. In the quantum field, what you focus on determines which waveforms collapse into particles, into experiences. Let's say your current reality is a blend of anxiety, scarcity, and self-doubt. That's not just emotional feedback. That's the frequency you're transmitting into the quantum matrix. And it's selecting a version of the world that matches those vibrations. But shift your focus intentionally, and the whole structure begins to respond. When you shift into states of clarity, confidence, and alignment, something remarkable starts to happen. The external world bends to match your inner code. People show up differently. Opportunities appear. Resistance dissolves. Why? Because you've tuned into a different layer of reality. One that was always there, but waiting for your permission to emerge. Here's where things get powerful. You don't need to physically do something drastic to experience a new timeline. You need to become the frequency of that timeline internally, before it appears externally. That's not fantasy. That's physics. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is an energetic signature, a vibrational beacon. Change that frequency, and you select a new stream of reality instantly. Let's go even deeper. Reality isn't built on matter. It's built on energy. And energy follows awareness. When your awareness shifts, your energy shifts. When your energy shifts, your reality adjusts to match. The timeline where you are thriving, fulfilled, connected, abundant, it's already running. But it doesn't come to you. You align to it. You tune into it like a station on a radio dial. Think of yourself as a quantum broadcaster. You're constantly transmitting your beliefs, emotions, and focus out into the field. The universe responds by mirroring back the version of reality that matches that broadcast. So ask yourself, what are you transmitting right now? Is it aligned with the version of you who's already living the life you desire? Or is it stuck looping through the static of fear, doubt, and limitation? That's where the power lies. Not in forcing change, but in changing your frequency. This is why alignment matters more than effort. Why clarity matters more than hustle. Because when you shift your state of being, you shift the code. And the code determines the outcome. So here's the breakthrough. Reality is not a prison. It's a playground. And you're not the prisoner, you're the programmer. Once you grasp this, everything starts to move. Not because the world is suddenly easier, but because you finally stopped operating from the wrong paradigm. You're not at the mercy of fate. You're selecting futures through your state of awareness. And now, it's time to start selecting wisely. Ready to explore how the universe actually understands your input and transforms it into experiences. Let's talk about the hidden programming language of reality, and why your emotions are more than just feelings. They're the key to everything. You've been told that your emotions are just reactions, side effects of circumstance. But that's not true. They are far more than that. They're commands, encoded frequencies, a language the universe listens to with absolute precision. This is the secret most never realize. Your emotional state isn't just shaping how you feel about reality. It's shaping what reality becomes in response to you. Let's strip this down to the fundamentals. You're constantly emitting a signal. That signal is not based on your words or your wishes. It's based on your emotional resonance. Joy, fear, gratitude, doubt, confidence, resentment. Each one of these is a specific energetic frequency. And those frequencies are not neutral. They are recognized by the quantum field as inputs. You might think of it like a digital code being typed into a master system. The emotional signal you're sending out tells the field, this is what I'm tuned to. This is what I'm ready to experience. This is the reality I expect and align with. And then, the field responds, always, unfailingly, not to your words, to your energy. This is why someone who walks around every day in a constant state of inner chaos keeps finding external chaos. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because they're fluent in a frequency that keeps triggering a matching version of reality. On the other hand, someone who cultivates stillness, clarity, and elevated emotion can experience extraordinary synchronicities, breakthroughs, and momentum. And to the outside world, it looks magical. But it's not. It's mechanical, predictable, and most importantly, trainable. Now, let's connect this to actual science. The HeartMath Institute has shown through decades of research that your heart, generates the most powerful electromagnetic field in your body, much stronger than the brain. And this heart-generated field shifts based on your emotional state. When you're in a state of gratitude, appreciation, love, or compassion, this field becomes coherent, harmonious, and powerful. And when you're in fear, frustration, or stress, it becomes incoherent, erratic, and weak. That signal doesn't stay inside your body. It radiates outward. And what does it interact with? Everything. Your emotional frequency becomes the code you're broadcasting into the matrix. It becomes the data stream that the universe interprets and mirrors. And this is where the concept of resonance becomes essential. In physics, resonance is when one object vibrating at a certain frequency causes another object to vibrate at the same frequency. Your emotions cause your reality to resonate. They are the tuning fork. You strike that fork, and your external world starts to hum with matching vibrations. Now, does this mean you should suppress all negative emotions and force positivity? Absolutely not. That would be emotional dishonesty, and dishonesty is a distorted signal. What this means is that you become deeply aware of what you're sending out. You no longer walk through life thinking your feelings are random storms. You realize they are directional beacons. And once you realize this, you start choosing more consciously. You begin to engineer your internal landscape the same way a coder refines their software. Not with judgment, but with intelligence. Let's take a moment to talk about belief, because belief is the operating system under the code. You can't send a coherent emotional signal that contradicts what you actually believe at your core. If you're trying to feel abundant while believing deep down that abundance isn't for you, you create a scrambled signal. The field doesn't respond clearly. The output becomes mixed. So the real work is this: bring belief and emotion into alignment. If you want to activate a new reality, start here. Ask yourself, what emotions match that reality? What beliefs support those emotions? Then install them, deliberately, repetitively. This is the process of emotional encoding. Think of it like a mantra, not just spoken aloud, but felt in your body. Felt so deeply and consistently that it overrides the old code. Here's a powerful practice. Choose one emotional frequency you know matches the reality you want. Let's say it's confidence, not arrogance, not fake bravado, but deep, grounded, energetic confidence. Now spend 5 minutes every day in full embodiment of that feeling. No goals, no outcomes. Just generate the feeling. Breathe it in, amplify it, hold it steady. This does something most people never notice. It teaches your nervous system to become a match for that timeline. It conditions your electromagnetic field to shift. And as that field shifts, it reprograms what the universe reflects back to you. Let's go even deeper. Emotion is what bridges the gap between the conscious mind and the quantum field. Thoughts alone can't shift reality. They are signals without charge. Emotion gives those thoughts power. It energizes the intention. It broadcasts it with clarity. So when you think a thought like, "I am worthy of success," but you feel unworthy, there's no activation. The code fails to run. The emotion must match the message. Once you understand this, your practice becomes clear. You align thought, belief, and emotion into one unified signal. And when that signal is clear and elevated, reality bends. That's not poetic exaggeration. That's the mechanics of quantum communication. The universe does not speak in words. It speaks in frequency. And your emotional state is the language it understands. Let's clarify something critical. You don't have to feel perfect to activate a new timeline. You simply have to shift the majority signal. You just need enough coherence in your emotional code to initiate a pattern recognition in the field. Reality responds to momentum. Build that signal over time, even gradually, and it begins to reflect changes in your physical world. First in subtle ways, then in undeniable ways. This is why some people seem to magnetize the right experiences with ease. They're not lucky. They're broadcasting a clear, coherent, powerful signal over and over again. So the question isn't, can I create a new reality? The question is, Can I sustain the emotion that matches that reality long enough for the field to respond? That's the real code. Not a spell, not a secret word, but a state of being, stabilized through awareness, choice, and emotional mastery. This is how you shift timelines. Not by force, but by frequency. Not by pushing harder, but by broadcasting better. Your emotions aren't just personal. They are universal. They are your interface with the field. And once you master that language, reality stops being random. It starts becoming responsive. Next, we'll explore something incredibly practical. Visualization isn't just a mental rehearsal. It's a real-time tool for quantum interface, an access point to alternate timelines. Let's unlock how it works and how you can start using it now to trigger instant reality shifts. Close your eyes for a second, not to escape but to access. What you see inside is not imagination. It's not pretend. It's a direct interface with a realm of infinite possibility. And the moment you understand this, you stop treating visualization like a soft skill and start using it like a portal. Here's the truth. Every version of your future already exists. Not metaphorically, literally. Each potential timeline is alive in the quantum field, encoded with its own unique set of experiences, emotions, outcomes, and identities. And visualization is how you start the connection handshake with that future. This is not creative fantasy. It's signal tuning. It's access. The mind does not know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. Neurologically, the same regions of the brain light up. Energetically, the same emotional frequencies are generated. And vibrationally, the field begins responding to the signal you've initiated. So when you visualize something clearly, intentionally, you're not just thinking about a new reality. You are broadcasting the frequency of that reality right now. And that broadcast becomes your magnet. Let's be precise. Visualization works when it's done with full sensory involvement. It's not enough to see something vaguely in your mind. You must feel it. You must inhabit it. The more detail you bring in, the sounds, the textures, the emotions, the more real the signal becomes. It's not the image that creates the shift. It's the frequency that the image generates inside your body. When you sit in stillness and visualize a future where you're fully aligned, thriving, supported, expansive, your heart begins to generate a different electromagnetic pattern. Your nervous system calibrates to a higher timeline. Your energy field changes, and the quantum field receives the instruction. Let's look at it like this. Your current timeline is based on your dominant state of being. Your visualization becomes a short-term override, a deliberate broadcast of a new state of being. Do that consistently, and the override becomes the default. Do it inconsistently, and nothing changes. Consistency is the key to collapsing new probabilities into present experience. Now, let's go deeper. Visualization is not about seeing something outside of yourself. It's about becoming it internally. This is the mistake most people make. They visualize from a place of separation. They see the dream life as something distant, something they'll step into someday. That kind of visualization is ineffective. Why? Because it sends the signal, this is not here, and the field mirrors that separation back. Effective visualization does the opposite. It brings the future into now. It ends the distance. It triggers the emotional and energetic codes of alignment immediately. And those codes begin influencing your decisions, your posture, your words, your expectations. So here's the technique. Choose a version of yourself already living the life you desire. Not hoping for it, not trying to get it, already being it. Then step into that identity in your mind. See through their eyes. Feel with their heart. Speak with their voice. Walk in their energy. Let this version of you educate your nervous system. Let it show you how to move, how to breathe, how to act. This is more than mental play. This is identity recalibration. You're not visualizing to get something. You're visualizing to become someone. And that someone lives on a higher frequency. A frequency that automatically generates the outcomes you once had to chase. When you enter that visualization deeply enough, your subconscious begins to update its blueprint. And once that blueprint changes, your behavior, energy, and resonance follow. You no longer have to force things. You become the person who naturally attracts them. Here's the shift. Stop using visualization as a wishing well. Start using it as a tuning fork. Tune yourself to the emotional and energetic profile of the desired timeline. Then sustain that frequency long enough for the environment to catch up. Let's explore one method right now. It's called quantum rehearsal. It works like this. Choose a single future outcome that feels powerful, aligned, and meaningful to you. Create a snapshot of one specific moment from that future, something you would experience after it has manifested. Not the process, but the result. Close your eyes, drop into your body, and mentally place yourself in that moment. Engage all senses. What do you see, hear, smell, taste, touch? Feel the emotion of that moment. Let it saturate your body. Hold the scene for 3 to 5 minutes, breathing as if it's happening now. End with gratitude, as if the experience has already occurred. This simple sequence, practiced daily, begins sending consistent signals to the quantum field. It repatterns your subconscious. It alters your decisions. And it amplifies synchronicities because your internal GPS is now calibrated to that timeline. Now let's clear up one misunderstanding. Visualization doesn't override reality instantly. It creates momentum. Think of it like tuning a radio. You might start in static, but the more precisely you adjust, the clearer the signal becomes. And once you lock in to that station, the music changes, the tone shifts, and what was once noise becomes guidance. The more often you practice this, the less attached you become to your current circumstances. Not because you're ignoring reality, but because you've recognized a deeper truth. Your current circumstances are only one possible version of the story, not the only one, not the final one. Visualization reclaims your authority as a timeline selector, not by changing the world first, but by changing you. And when you change, the field adjusts. It must. So don't underestimate what happens in your mind. It's not imagination, it's instruction. And the more clearly, vividly, and emotionally you transmit that instruction, the more powerfully reality begins to respond. Next, we'll go even further. There are infinite versions of you already existing, each living a different story, each resonating at a unique frequency. You're about to learn how to shift into the one where your desires are already fulfilled. Not through hope, through identity alignment. It's time to access your parallel self. There is a version of you right now who already has the clarity, abundance, relationships, and purpose you've been seeking. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. That version exists on a different frequency, just outside the range of your current state of being. And the key to experiencing that version is not to chase it, but to align with it. Let's break this down without mysticism or fluff. You are not a single, static identity. You are a multidimensional field of consciousness, constantly shifting between states. And with each state, you select a different version of reality. Parallel realities are not some wild theory to entertain. They're the most accurate description of how this universe actually works. Every possible outcome already exists. There isn't one future, you're surrounded by futures. Each one is being lived by a different version of you in real time. You're not waiting for them to happen. They're waiting for you to tune in. This is not philosophical. This is quantum mechanics applied to identity. The many worlds interpretation, decoherence theory, probability waves, these are not abstract. They point to a real operational truth. Reality is not happening to you. You're selecting from infinite versions of it. So what causes you to select one version over another? Your state of being. Not your intentions, not your effort, your energetic identity. You've been conditioned to believe that change happens from the outside in, that you must fix circumstances to feel different. But that's the slow path, the disempowered path. The real shift happens from the inside out. When you change your identity, you change your frequency. When you change your frequency, you activate a different version of the timeline. And when that happens, your world starts reflecting back a new story. Now, let's get practical. How do you step into a parallel reality? You do it by becoming the version of yourself who already lives there. Not pretending. Not visualizing and then going back to being your old self, but fully shifting your sense of self. This means thinking like that version of you, feeling like them, moving like them, making decisions from their perspective, holding their posture, speaking their truth, trusting their vision. Because that version of you already knows how to operate at that level. And your job is to match their frequency, not demand that reality changes before you do. This is called identity tuning. It's one of the most powerful quantum tools available to you. Here's how to apply it. Step 1. Get clear on the outcome you want, not as a fantasy, but as a version of your life that already exists. Step 2. Identify the energetic signature of the you who's already living that life. Step 3. Begin integrating that identity through thought, action, and emotion now. You can start this process with a simple prompt. If I were already that version of myself, what would I believe, think, and do today? And then you act on the answers. Immediately, not when it's convenient. Now, the key is alignment through repetition. You don't step into a new timeline once. You stabilize in it through consistent frequency. That's how you shift. Now, you may wonder, if these versions of me already exist, why don't I feel them? Why don't I see proof? The answer is simple. You've been deeply invested in your current identity. An identity comes with blinders. The ego is designed to maintain consistency. It resists dissonance. It clings to what it knows, even when what it knows is limitation. To access a new version of self, you must release the loyalty you've had to the old one. You must stop arguing for your limitations. Stop defending your dysfunction. Stop reinforcing the storyline that says, "This is just the way things are." Every time you repeat that story, you strengthen the timeline you say you want to escape. And the field responds. It always mirrors your dominant identity, not your wishes. So if you say, "I'm ready for change," but behave in ways that reinforce your current self-image, you're stuck in contradiction. And contradiction creates energetic stasis. To truly shift, your entire system must agree. Your thoughts, your feelings, your choices, each one must align with the frequency of the new self. Let's look at a practical exercise for this. It's called quantum character integration. Here's how it works. Create a clear, detailed version of yourself who has already realized the reality you want to experience. Write out how that version speaks, thinks, and feels daily. Design rituals, habits, and behaviors that reflect that version's mindset. Begin living as that version for a set period, 7 days uninterrupted. Track any resistance or discomfort that arises. These are signs of identity conflict. Address them, don't avoid them. This isn't about acting. It's not role-playing. It's identity recalibration. And when the calibration is stable enough, the field must shift. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. You might feel strange at first. That's expected. You're operating outside the default program. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And eventually, the shift locks in. Reality starts conforming. Not because you forced it, but because you matched it. One of the most important insights here is this. Reality doesn't reward effort. It responds to coherence. If you are energetically coherent with a timeline, it becomes accessible. Coherence means that your energy, your intention, your emotions, and your beliefs are all moving in the same direction. When that happens, parallel realities become available not in theory, but in your daily life. Opportunities align. People change. Patterns break. Not because the world changed first, but because you did. Your field leads. Reality follows. This is why identity is the master key. You are never stuck in one version of yourself unless you choose to be. You are free to shift anytime. And yes, some timelines are harder to access than others. Not because they're blocked, but because they require a higher frequency, more clarity, more responsibility, more alignment. But the path is available. Always. So the next time you feel like you're repeating a story, ask yourself, who am I being right now? And then, is this the version of me who lives in the reality I'm calling in? If the answer is no, shift. Don't wait. Shift now. Reality has no loyalty to your past. It only mirrors your present frequency. Choose wisely. Next, we'll explore how timelines don't always take time. There are moments, pivotal, powerful moments, when a new reality emerges in an instant. We call it a leap, and it's not a myth. It's a skill. You're going to learn exactly how it works and how to trigger one on command. One moment, your life looks a certain way. The next, everything is different. You didn't force it. You didn't grind your way into it. You jumped. This is the phenomenon known as a quantum leap. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's what happens when your internal state shifts so radically and coherently that reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around the new frequency. Let's define this precisely. A quantum leap is a sudden and dramatic shift in your external experience caused by a fundamental change in your inner alignment. It bypasses gradual change. It overrides linear progress, collapses time. Most people are trained to believe that transformation has to be slow, effortful, and earned. But that belief is the limitation. In the quantum model, time is not the barrier, it's the illusion. Time stretches or compresses based on frequency. And when your frequency shifts fast enough, the time it takes for reality to change contracts. This is why breakthroughs often feel like they came out of nowhere. But they didn't. They came from coherence. They came from alignment hitting critical mass. So let's be clear. Quantum leaping is not about skipping steps. It's about skipping resistance. When resistance is dissolved, what used to take years can happen in days. Or even moments. Let's explore how this works. There are 3 elements that typically catalyze a leap: radical clarity, emotional congruence, energetic decision. Clarity comes first. You must know exactly what you're shifting into, not vaguely, not generally, with precision. Without clarity, your signal is scattered. And scattered signals don't trigger shifts, they reinforce static. The second is emotional congruence. You have to feel the shift in your body, not just intellectually desire it. It has to become real in your nervous system. That's what moves energy. That's what flips the switch. The third and most misunderstood is energetic decision. This isn't regular decision-making. This isn't, I guess I'll try. This is the kind of decision that carries a finality to it. It says, this is now who I am. Not, I want to become this. But I am this now. And once that decision is fully embodied, the quantum field updates instantly. The code is rewritten. The operating system reboots. You don't move toward a new reality. It moves toward you. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. These leaps often feel surreal because they're accompanied by timeline disorientation. Things may appear to accelerate unnaturally. People may treat you differently without explanation. Opportunities arrive without traditional buildup. Why? Because you're no longer on the path you were just on. You changed frequency. You entered a different trajectory. And the field is mirroring that shift. But here's the nuance most people miss. Leaps aren't triggered by desire alone. Desire without alignment is just friction. The field doesn't care what you want. It responds to what you are. So if you want to trigger a leap, you have to stop seeking and start being. You have to step into the full, unapologetic embodiment of the version of you that already has the outcome. This creates resonance. And resonance is the mechanism that bends time. Let's go deeper into the mechanics. A quantum leap is made possible by identity convergence, when your current self aligns so completely with your desired self that the two become indistinguishable in the field. Once the identity converges, reality has no resistance left. It updates immediately. And yes, sometimes this is accompanied by chaos. The old timeline doesn't always go quietly. People, patterns, and environments that no longer match your frequency may fall away. But this isn't collapse. It's recalibration. A leap will often destroy what can't exist in the new version of your life. And that's part of the process. The field doesn't allow for contradiction. It reorganizes everything around your new energetic center. This is why surrender is part of leaping. Not passive surrender, but active release. You stop gripping the old story. You stop negotiating with the past. You cut the cord and transmit a clean signal. And the universe listens. Let's break down a leap technique you can use right now. It's called the 3-2-1 shift protocol. 3. Acknowledge the current identity you've been living. Call it out. Be honest. What patterns have kept you locked into your existing timeline? What labels or narratives have defined you? 2. Define the identity that matches the timeline you're choosing. Be clear. What beliefs, emotions, and actions characterize that version of you? What energy do they hold? 1. Collapse the gap. Right now. Not later. Step into that energy now. Walk, talk, think, and breathe from that identity from this moment forward. No easing in. No waiting for signs. No conditions. You leap by becoming. And here's the paradox. The leap feels sudden, but the preparation is silent and cumulative. Every time you chose presence, alignment, truth, and clarity, you were charging the shift. And when the moment is ripe, it fires like lightning. So how do you know a leap is coming? You'll feel tension build, not anxiety, but pressure. Old patterns stop working. Synchronicities increase. Intuition gets louder. And then, a moment presents itself. A window. In that moment, you'll have two options. Stay aligned with who you were, or leap into who you actually are. No guarantees. No proof. Just alignment and trust. And when you leap, you're rewarded with acceleration. Not always ease, but momentum, because reality bends in service to clarity. And the field favors those who are energetically committed. So the next time you feel a spark, don't hesitate, don't stall. Let that spark become ignition. Let it burn away hesitation, and make the jump. You are not here to crawl through timelines. You are here to leap, to shift, to transmit such a powerful signal of truth that the entire matrix responds. This isn't theory. This is how reality works. And now that you know, you don't have to wait anymore. Finally, you'll learn how to build your own quantum activation code. A practical, powerful sequence that brings together everything we've covered into one cohesive method. It's time to make this real, usable, and repeatable. Let's finish what we started. You've heard the theory. You've understood the mechanics. You've witnessed the shifts. Now it's time to build your own code. Something real, something usable. This isn't symbolic. This is a working system that aligns you with the timeline you choose to live. Think of it as your personal quantum operating system. A sequence of internal commands designed to lock you into the frequency of your highest self. So reality has no option but to respond accordingly. This code is not made of ones and zeros. It's composed of intention, energy, vision, and action. Each part is crucial. Miss one, and the signal is incomplete. But get them all aligned, and you gain access to timelines that once felt unreachable. Let's walk through it. There are 5 elements. You'll need all 5. Each one builds on the other. When practiced consistently, this sequence becomes your activation key. Element 1, intention. Everything starts with clarity, but not vague hopes. Intention is specific. It is a directive to the quantum field. You must know exactly what you are coding for. Not more money or better health. That's noise. Your intention must be clear enough to generate a matching frequency. Here's a strong template. I am activating the timeline where specific outcome is already realized through the identity of specific self. This statement brings both outcome and embodiment into alignment. You're not wishing for something. You're coding yourself into a timeline where that something already exists. Say your intention aloud. Feel it. Own it. This is the opening signal. Element 2, visualization. Now you project the intention into form. This is where your inner world becomes the blueprint. Take your intention and build a clear mental construct around it. Create a moment that would only exist after the intention has been fulfilled. That's key. Don't visualize the process, visualize the result. Make it vivid. Feel the textures. Hear the sounds. Let your senses fill in the gaps. Then hold that vision in your mind, not as a hope, but as a now. This begins creating coherence between your internal state and the field. You are no longer separated from your goal. You are standing inside it. Element 3, affirmation. Next, you speak the code. Not as a chant. Not as empty repetition, but as a calibration tool. Your affirmations must reflect identity, not effort. You are not trying to become, you are. I am the version of myself who naturally creates, insert outcome. I operate on the frequency of insert quality, clarity, expansion, abundance. My energy stabilizes in the timeline where this is already real. Speak slowly, with conviction, not to convince the world, but to remind yourselves. Your subconscious records what you repeat with emotion. So make sure what you repeat is worth encoding. Element 4, emotional charge. This is the power core. Without emotion, none of this transmits. Emotion is the carrier wave. You must feel what it feels like to be living in that timeline now. Let it move through your chest. Let it shift your breath. Let it rearrange your posture. Gratitude is one of the most effective frequencies here. Not gratitude for what will come. Gratitude for what's already yours on the new timeline. This creates a paradox in your nervous system. You're thankful before it appears, which means your body believes it already has it. And that changes your entire energetic output. The field responds to belief at the level of physiology. So generate that charge and hold it as long as you can. Let it become your default state. Element 5, embodiment. Now you act. You do not wait for permission. You do not wait for evidence. You behave as if the shift has already occurred. Embodiment is not performance. It's alignment. It's making decisions from the new identity. It's showing up to your day as if the future has caught up with you. Ask yourself, how would I move if this were already done? How would I communicate, create, invest, respond? Then follow through. Small actions are enough so long as they're consistent with the signal. You're anchoring the code into physical behavior. This turns quantum information into matter. Now, let's put this all together into a single, repeatable practice. We'll call it the quantum activation ritual. Here's how to run it. Set your intention. Speak it clearly. Focus your awareness fully on what timeline you're choosing to occupy. Visualize the outcome. Step into the scene. Make it real in your senses. See, hear, feel the result. Affirm your identity. Speak as the version of you who already lives it. Keep it present tense and precise. Generate emotional resonance. Feel gratitude, certainty, joy, whatever matches the frequency of that reality. Act from alignment. Choose one action today that reflects the identity you've activated. You can run this entire process in 10 minutes. Do it daily. Do it sincerely, not as a ritual of hope, but as a command to your reality. Now let's talk consistency. One activation won't shift a lifetime of default coding. You have to persist. You have to overwrite the old program with enough signal strength that the new one takes root. And that doesn't mean effort. It means repetition with belief. Repetition builds resonance. Resonance creates collapse of potential. Collapse creates materialization. That's the progression. That's how timeline shifts stabilize. So as you use your personal quantum code, track your field. Observe your mood. Note your thoughts. Notice when the old version tries to sneak back in. And when it does, don't fight it. Just return to the code. Run it again. Each time you reinforce the frequency. Each time you signal the field with more clarity. Each time you choose your reality instead of waiting for it to choose you. You are not here to chase outcomes. You're here to command energy. Not through force, through precision. Through awareness. Through presence. And now you have the toolset. You have the code. This is the end of being passive. This is the end of living inside random patterns. You've stepped into the realm of the deliberate, where thought becomes structure, where feeling becomes form, where choice becomes the bridge between dimensions. You are not just conscious. You are creative consciousness, and that makes you the most powerful technology in existence. In the final message, you'll receive the distilled reminder of everything you've just awakened within yourself, along with the invitation to take this practice further. Your power isn't just potential. It's ready to be activated now.